Pictures is gone.
Okay. Maybe we're not going to go live right now.
Well, it says live in the corner.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure. Oh, here we go. Can you see us now?
Yeah, I can see you.
Awesome. Perfect. There we go. I just had to get out of the. All right. So, hey, what's going on, everybody? Matt Michaels here. I guess I'll give an easier cut for DJ Impact here for audio on podcast, which will be DJ, cut it right here, brother. Hey, everybody, Matt Michaels here. And today I'm joined with Jason Dugan out there in the East Coast. How's it going out there right now? How's Florida been, brother?
Florida's been pretty much like everywhere else, man. With the pandemic, is people are struggling right now, but just maintaining is probably the best word I can use. Maintaining. You gotta take a negative and try to find the positive in it.
Have you been able to go about kind of everyday life with everything that's going on? Are you still able to, get in your workouts, get in some ring training? How's that been for you over the last almost year now?
Honestly, it doesn't feel any different with the pandemic. Florida is one of the blessed areas. The only difference is we keep our mask on, we hand sanitize, we try to stay as safe as possible. But yeah, I'm constantly training. I'm constantly working shows every weekend. I'm working shows. Um, so it really hasn't changed much per se.
Sure.
I mean, other areas are worse than others. I know, like New York, they're not running shows. I think like Virginia ain't running shows, stuff like that. So Florida's blessed because
Yeah.
we have a lot of shows that are running.
Um, you know, growing up in New York, man, what was it about wrestling that drew you in? Were you able to like see shows at the Garden? What was wrestling like for you as a kid?
I'm an adopted kid, so my adopted mom watched wrestling, and that was literally like our thing. She introduced me into wrestling, so we always watched it. So when I grew up, Mondays were our thing, Thursdays was our thing, anything that was wrestling. Like I remember when fucking NWA TNA was a thing on Wednesdays on Direct TV. You had to order it for like $10.
Bucks.
Like, yeah, you remember those? It
Oh
was like
yeah.
2002 or something. I was real little, and we'd watch that together. That was wrestling was always our thing. So
Wow.
that's what drew me into wrestling, like watching it wise.
Were there any other sports when you were younger that you participated in or followed? Especially, you know, growing up in New York, were you a Knicks fan? And if you were, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was. Dang, man. Sports wise, I played a lot of street hockey.
Oh, nice.
I
Yeah.
loved hockey. Even when I moved to Florida, it felt awkward because nobody cared about hockey. So I'd be on my rollerblades with my hockey stick all by myself.
Oh man.
Only black kid on the sidewalk with a hockey stick. little listen, little did I know, like in the southern area, that it looks like you're up to no good when you're that young with a hockey stick.
Oh
Gotten the
man.
true story. They called the cops on me.
No shit.
Yeah, they called the cops on me and said that suspicious kid running around with a hockey stick. Freaking, they thought I was Casey Jones or something from the Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles, man. Unbelievable. I, you know,
I
this is this is the point that gets me so mad is that people don't realize that that's what like BLM is all about. You just had a hockey stick You weren't doing anything, and yet you got the cops called on you. Fuck me, man. That's crazy.
That's what I said. I mean, here's the thing. I was so young. I think I was like 9 or 10. So, here's the kicker. My mother's white. I'm adopted by a white family.
Oh
So,
boy.
so it's always that awkward exchange when the cops like talk to my mother and they're like, "Do you know him?" And then my mom's like, "Yeah, that's my son."
Oh my god, man.
You know him? Like they thought I might have sent them to the wrong house. But that was my life as a nutshell growing up, man. It was rough.
Shit. Like, yeah, I mean, it's a totally different environment when you're talking about, like, when I grew up, we would just it was kind of like Wayne's World, where you'd put like a net in the street and then you would like shoot on goal right there in the middle of your block. And because we were white, no one said shit, to the point where, cars would actually wait for you. You know, people were nice about it. Um, but that's just unbelievable
And
that
here's
people, oh,
I
fuck, man.
I didn't know about racism. Living in New York, you really don't really deal with that stuff in New York.
Yep.
Racism. Um, I came to Florida, I learned about racism. Man, honestly, I probably didn't even know I was black.
Sure.
Let's be honest, because like it was never a thing that was brought to me, like racism. So like my mom had to sit down and talk to me about it. I was a little confused. I'm young. I didn't understand why I was getting the cops called on me. And I'll tell you right now, I never picked up a hockey stick since then, man.
Seriously, man, it's mind blowing. W- when you think about wrestling and being athletic, did you consider yourself athletic enough to do it? Were you concerned when you first started getting into the ring, taking bumps, that you had any, you know, apprehension or fears about, you know, doing some of the stuff that you would end up doing? Or did it kind of come natural to you, meaning that once you got in the ring, things just kind of flowed and started clicking in place? What was that like for you,
I
transitioning in becoming a wrestler?
I've always been athletic. Like I'm a smaller guy, so I've always been athletic. I've always been able to do stuff. Um, Wrestling, I wouldn't say it was easy. I wouldn't say it was easy per se. Um, because there's a lot to learn in wrestling, man. I've been blessed and fortunate to have guys like the Pope Elijah Burt to take me under his wing and get me where I need to get. Matt Morgan was a big influence. Adam Rose was another big influence that took me under their wing. Just helped me along the way. Jesse Neal, those guys, Wes Briscoe, those were the guys that actually took me and like helped me along the way. Um, so like it's not easy, but I felt like I can do it because know why you're doing it. Why are you trying to be a wrestler? And that's something that low key teaches me all the
Yeah.
time. And he tells me, and low key is probably one of my favorite trainers. And I'm pretty sure you know who he is. He's low key
Oh yeah.
for years. And low key
Yep.
teaches, why are you doing this? What is your reason for doing it? And if you know the whys and the whats,
Yeah.
you will succeed in the business.
Yeah. That's something that I think gets lost sometimes, depending on who the trainers are, especially if you're going to a school that has, trainers who have been in the business, but have been in the business strictly on a, small scale. You don't learn the idea of intention. And I think that you can start with the very basic intention in wrestling, and that is this: when you walk through the curtain, no matter what the blueprint is, you have to walk out knowing that you're going to win the match, or else you'd be walking out of the curtain. And a lot of guys, you'll see them walk out of the curtain and there's nothing there. There's no presence. There's no desire or drive. They're literally just, they're going to the ring to be a wrestler. And that frustrates me, because if you can't get that simple thing, how are you supposed to be able to work in the ring the actual psychology and storytelling that you need? Because just like acting, wrestling is all about intention. And if you give the right intention through what you're doing, then your partner is able to take that and then deliver it back to you. And now you're dancing. And it's simple, but figure it out.
Here's the thing, like, I'm trusting my opponent with my body. So if this person's going through the motions, 9 times out of 10, Jason's not going to get in the ring with them. I'm not going to get in the ring with somebody that is just going through the motions, because I'm very passionate about wrestling. I'm very passionate. I've been wrestling for 4 years now, and I've accomplished a lot in 4 years, and I've accomplished more than a lot of others that's been around the 4 years reign. I mean, I've accomplished a lot, doing, right now, I'm currently doing stuff with Major League Wrestling, MLW. I got a bunch of big matches under my belt. On next month, I'll be wrestling JTG.
Nice. Yeah.
I'll be wrestling JTG on the 19th. I've been in the ring with guys like Adam Rose, Gangrel, Raven, Just Incredible. I've been in a lot of mainstream matches, but I don't take it lightly. Everything that is, all the opportunities that have been given to me is I consider all of them a blessing.
Sure.
All of it's a blessing, because, the business doesn't owe me anything. I owe the business. And a lot of people, sometimes they forget that. They get some success and they big time you and they act like, I'm better than you. But the reality is, why? Why do you feel like you're better than me? Because you got this opportunity. Like, I did MLW and people started treating me different. Like, they were like, oh, that's cool, you're on TV now. Blah. But at the end of the day, I'm still Jason. Like, I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to big time you. I'm still going to be the guy that you knew, because all these opportunities are a blessing.
Well, and speaking of like MLW, I know you in November you had a match with Hammerstone, and Alex is one of our guys here at FSW. He's basically a cornerstone of Vegas wrestling, even though he's from Arizona. And when I see someone like Hammerstone getting a match with you, that's when I know that you're getting great opportunities, because guys like that's who you want to be wrestling, in terms of, if you're not wrestling some of the guys you named who are, established guys through the last, 20 years, and you're not going over on the, the guys who aren't at the MLW level, because those are experience, those are matches, those are entertaining for the fans that are there. But really, you're probably even becoming more of a ring general for some of those guys. But when you start wrestling guys like Hammerstone, you're starting to show, hey, this is someone who's becoming a player. And I love that.
Hammerstone, man, that was my first time meeting Hammerstone, and one of the nicest guys I ever met, man. I had to listen, as big as he is, man, he can take your head off in 1 second, but he is the most sweetest man I ever met. Being in the sharing the locker room with those MLW guys, Devon Eriks, nice guys. Jacob Fatu, man, he was like a big brother. He told me, if I needed anything, you come to me. I'm like, honestly, what you see on MLW is really him. He's not playing. That
Yeah.
dude was a monster. And what helped me was I do a lot of stuff over at WXW. Like I know
Okay.
Pops. So he was like, "Oh, you know Pops, you know Vertigo, which is Vertigo is I don't know if you know Vertigo. He's an indie worker.
Yep.
He's done a lot of SmackDown stuff, a lot of, and he's a WXW regular, and I learned a lot from him. Vertigo is taking me under his wing, and man, just these guys like Chico Adams. I've known Chico since I first started. I remember Chico. We trained at the same school, but these are guys that took me under their wing, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna help you. We're gonna get you better."
Yeah.
It's a
What
blessing, guys like Hammerstone.
what would you say for young wrestlers who haven't had that guidance yet, let's say? What would you say some of the most important information or advice that has been shared with you, out of all the things that you've gotten from these guys, what sticks out to you and who might have given you that advice?
First person to ever give me advice was Jesse Neal.
Yeah.
Dog of War Jesse Neal told me he wanted me to learn respect. Respect this business, and you'll make it far. And that's and I when someone always asks me the best advice, I always give what Jesse said. And I've gotten some good advice. Pope being the main one. Elijah is always on me about everything, but that was the first real advice that anyone gave me was respect the business, and you'll make it far. So he was the first person to really do it. But also for any young talent coming in, keep your mouth shut. Stay humble.
Yes.
You guys, I've met so many guys that get so arrogant. Like, dude, you're wrestling in front of 20 people. Like, my dude, let's be honest here. Like, we got a long way to go. Let's do it together. Let's do this journey together. I hate watching people cutthroat each other in the business because we all are doing it for the same goal. All of us have different backgrounds. Like my background is completely different. Like I came from I was a troubled youth, and I came into wrestling because I wanted to show other youth that you can change your life around. I did 5 years in prison, you know. I went to prison. I was detention centers, juvenile things, and my life is different. And wrestling has a big part of that.
You know, that's a great point. When you're confined like that, when you're in prison, do you think that when you had that time, was that something that you actually thought about? Is when I get out of here and get a chance to, look at what I want to do with my life, did that actually play into you deciding, hey, I'm going to try out being a wrestler?
Yes, it's it's funny that you say that. There's a lot of guys that have come out of prison that remember me, and they're like, "Man, that was the dude they used to walk around the wrestling magazine." And I said the Pro Wrestling Illustrated. That's what I was known as, the guy with the wrestling magazine. And I have a lot of friends that came out, and they're like, "Man, this kid really came out and became a pro wrestler and stuck with it." I did it because I wanted to change my life around. I wanted a better life.
Sure.
Um, and I wanted to show other troubled youths that were going through stuff like me growing up that they can change their life around too. Like it's never to reach your goals, man. If you have a dream, you can actually reach for it, man. You can live your dream. And I wanted to be a living testimony of that, where it's like I grew up and I was always told, man, you'll be dead at 16, you'll be dead at 18, you'll be dead at 21. I always heard it, man, and it's discouraging. And when someone told me I was bad, I literally as a kid believed it and I just kept doing dumb stuff. And as an
Yeah.
adult, man, I think about how it affected me. And then I see these younger kids that are out there doing all this dumb stuff. And I feel like those kids just need a positive role model, a positive guidance. I've noticed when I go do certain wrestling shows, and if it's like the crowd is minority black, there's like young black kids in the crowd. And they like me instantly just off of my gimmick, just off of how I am, because they can relate to me, you
Yep.
know? And instead of being stupid and like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm making money, like these rap music. And the poisoning these poor kids' minds, you know? You're telling them to go out there and do this dumb stuff. And obviously it's a gimmick to you. And it's like, yeah, money. But these kids really believe it.
Yep.
And with wrestling, you know, I have a lot of kid fans. And what I want to show them is, hey, you know, this is a gimmick. Be positive with it. You
Yeah.
whatever goals you have, you can reach your goals, man. And that's always been my mentality going into wrestling, because I want someone else to do better. If I can help change this kid's life or that kid's, even just one person, I feel like I did my job. And that's the true story about it.
Um, have you thought in that sense of you know, potentially, and I don't know if you've gotten any opportunities through any kind of schools or youth programs to actually come in and talk to some of the kids. And if you haven't, boy, we got to figure out how to get you doing that, because I think that you hit on something that if you look around, most independent wrestlers, you know, if you're signed to a big company, you have a bigger platform. They have, you know, things that you do all the time for communities and for, you know, Make a Wish and that kind of stuff. But as an independent wrestler who has a story that is very relatable for a lot of youth out there, I would love to, you know, see you able to go into the, you know, the local, you know, youth club or, you know, school, and be able to have these kids interact with you and understand, hey, I can achieve what I want to achieve. Has that ever crossed your mind?
Yeah. I've actually thought, no, I've always wanted to do it. I just never know how to go about it. Um, I usually talk, if I meet any trouble kids, I do talk to them, because
Sure.
it does bother me, because I feel like a lot of kids get steered the wrong way. I was one of those kids that was very influenced, you know? God forbid if I
Right.
watch a Manny Fresh video. So, you know, like I was that kid, man. Like, and I hung around the wrong people. And
Sure.
yeah, I would love to come to a school and talk to the kids. And I've even thought about going back to an old juvenile program that I was in, and talking to the youths over there. Because I was so bad, man. Like when I think about it, man, like I went to my first juvenile program at 13. I didn't
Wow.
get out. I didn't get out until I was 15. I was so bad. Like
Yeah.
literally the program was 6 months to a year. I didn't get out till I was 15. I got transferred to another program. Uh I
Wow.
got out of there, and then I just kept getting in trouble as a kid, and they sent me back to a program at 18. And it was crazy. And then, you know, right there, prison right afterwards. And you
Man.
know, like, I was just an angry kid, man. And I had a lot of reasons to be angry. Um,
Sure.
just things that were happening in my life, things happened to me, and it just I was never taught the right way how to handle the situations. And my mother, my adopted mother, she was a older lady. She was on oxygen, and she couldn't give me the discipline that I needed. She wasn't a bad mother, but I needed a firm hand. And I know that now as an adult. I needed a
Sure.
firm hand. And you know, it's one of those things. I don't regret what happened in my life. I don't regret how it happened, because I feel like it made me the person that I am now.
Right.
And
No,
like I
that's
I
very
respect
important.
everybody. Yeah, I respect everybody the way I want to be respected. and I'm really big on that. And I'm a big believer. I believe in God. I was saved in 2015, and I feel like it's a reason why all that happened in my life. And I feel like I could be a living testimony to others, that dealt with it. Maybe I can help them in some way that I couldn't be helped at one time or another. But like honestly, I'm so much happy in my life now. Like I'm very happy. I'm very blessed, and this wrestling roller coaster has just been going.
When you talk about getting in and training and having uh, some of the veteran eyes on you and giving you advice, and you mentioned the Pope, do you think that someone like Elijah is, for you, maybe that example of, um, I don't want to say father figure, it's so cliche, but in terms of a mentor, a guider, someone who can give you the advice when you need the advice. Has that been someone that has basically been your
Yes, it has.
big?
He he's been my rock, man. He's the guy I can come to. I can give him a call anytime. I'm like, Elijah, I'm going through it. Um, and I'm trying to remember how I met him, man. I can't remember how I met Elijah, but I know we talked on Facebook or something, and I was at a show in Florida, a Frank Goodman show, USA Pro. You probably heard of it because
Yep.
a lot of the big names do it. I was on that card, and Elijah talked to me about the match. We went over it, and he told me, man, he's like, he calls me Doogie. That's his nickname for me. And he's like, Doogie, he's like, we're gonna be joint to the hip, man. If you listen and you stay as humble as you are, Pope gonna help you. And literally, he talks that way, third party and all. Pope ain't playing. Like he talks. You think it's a gimmick? It's not a gimmick. It's Elijah, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that man, I don't know if you're familiar with his charity, the Love Alive charity.
Yeah.
He's serious, man. He is a very godly man. That is not a gimmick. That is Pope. Just kind-hearted, loving. We just did a show. He just had his charity show recently, last month. And actually this month, it was early this month. And
This month.
yeah, I was on the card, and he helps everybody. He's stern now. He's not. He'll tell you like it is, but he only does it because he cares. Like
Right.
he's yelled at me, knucklehead. What are you doing? Like, and that's how he talks. But he does it because he cares so much.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he's a great mentor, man. Like I owe a lot to Elijah, and I owe a lot to this guy Alex Red from Atomic Revolution Wrestling. He saw potential in me before anybody did. And he's the one that told me to start training. He's the one that sent me to the school and was like, here, go to this school, go here. He's the first one to ever give me an opportunity. Um, and then from there, it just went up. It started with guys like him, and then Jesse Neal and Wes Briscoe.
Yeah.
And then up.
Do, for you, when you see that guys like that are taking, I guess, an interest in helping you climb the ladder, do you find it very rewarding in terms of, you had this dream and you had what your life has been, right? All of us go through that, right? With your kids, you get to, your early 20s, you're starting to find out who you are. You go through discovery and discovery and discovery. And then you start finding where your path fits in. Do you see that, because sometimes, like, I will be blind to the fact that when someone sees potential in you and they help you, you kind of, you kind of don't even know sometimes that you're really getting some advice or getting something from a person who sees something in you enough to take the time to tell you and to whether it be a full mentorship or just words that might inspire you, and that person might not even know they're technically inspiring you. It's just something that you hear that sparks something. Does that keep that fire lit for you and kind of give you a justification of, hey, everything that was in my past is who I was, that got me to where I am today, but today I am this person who is taking this trajectory of who I am to this level because I love it, I'm invested, and people see that in me.
Yeah, it's always refreshing, it's always encouraging, having those people telling me like, hey, this and this, and it keeps the fire lit underneath me to
Sure.
keep getting better, to keep growing, to keep striving. Yeah, it's always a blessing, man. When I found out I was wrestling JTG, like that was another fire that was lit under my ass, And then I met him. I met him. We cut a promo. Because growing up, like between Pope and JTG, they were my favorites growing up. They weren't like big mainstream names, but I loved the Crime Times gimmick.
Oh,
It was something that I could relate to.
sure.
Crime Time and Elijah Bird. I loved the whole New Breed stuff.
Yeah.
I thought he was such a cool heel. To me, he's one of the most underrated talents ever
Yeah.
because he knows how to work, and he has a lot of charisma,
Yep.
and that is rare to find in a wrestler. Like you usually got the worker, but they don't really got the charisma, or they got the charisma, they just don't really know how to work. It's a hand filled selection of guys just have it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a fire when I'm being told, hey, you're working JTG in the next couple months, or I mean, I worked a series of matches with the Pope. I
Yeah.
mean, me and Elijah had a bunch, and I learned so much off of those matches. The last match I had with him was an I Quit match.
Oh man.
And we beat the crap out of each other, and he was testing me, man. Like there was a part in the match where he slapped me, and it made me angry. So I slapped him right back, and I remember him spitting out blood and smiling at me like, "Good kid." But legit, it made me angry that he hit me
Yep.
because it was unexpected. But that's some of the tests that he throws to get you ready for this business. Is are you gonna be a shark, or are you gonna be a fish? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And
And that's a very, I love how you just put that, because that is the exact way to look at it. Because I'll tell you right now, man, when you're in the ring and you're getting slapped or chopped, or you're getting a little, I love it when people aren't necessarily working full on stiff, but they're laying it in at about, 40%, where it does, it calls for you to react. If you don't react, you are literally a fish being
yeah,
gobbled by a shark. That's
yeah, and
such a
they will eat you alive, and I learned that. Like, um, I think what helps me is I was I was locked up, so I was in there with the sharks,
yeah.
and I I take everything that I learned from lockup and I apply it out here. I live in a dorm with 100 people. I have to learn to get along with them. If I lived in a short room with 100 people in a dorm, that means I'd be able to succeed out here and get along with others out here.
Yeah.
So if someone's pushing my buttons, I don't have to deal with it. Like I don't have to, but I also don't need to do something stupid. I could be an
Yeah.
adult about it. I lived in a dorm with 100 people. If I can handle that, I can handle anything. Um,
Right.
and that's how I try to apply my life. And that's how I applied it for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Um, and it helps. And sometimes I'm not perfect. No one is. I can get really mad and just downright upset but it's just the way how you handle it now.
Right.
As a kid, it was bad. I was always on some stupid stuff, but now as an adult, man, I try to stay away from it. I honestly don't go out. I don't hang out with friends. I don't do anything like that. I focus on wrestling. If I go out with friends, it's probably because we're coming back from a show.
Right. Well, when you talk about that, basically that energy, um, where you want to focus on wrestling, and then you have emotions creeping in. Have you found that either working out or going into the ring to train kind of is a way to take that emotion and kind of work it out of your body?
Yeah, it helps training, working shows. Staying focused helps getting the negative energy out of my life.
Yeah.
Um, it helps, man. Like, and then just having a really good support system. That is what helps me out. I have a lot of good wrestling brothers, man, that I can just call anytime and they invent and they'll be there, man. There's an indie worker I talk to all the time. I don't know if you're familiar with his work, Zach Monstar. Um,
No, I haven't run
I,
across him.
he's a great worker. You a big guy. I don't know if you know Funny Bone. I'm pretty sure you know Funny Bone.
Oh yeah.
He
Yep.
worked.
No.
He has somewhat of the same gimmick as Funny Bone, and
Okay.
they worked a match this weekend actually at a show that I was working, and great freaking match. Zach is one of those, once again, another underrated talent that no one has really peeped at yet. But if they do, man, he's money, he's gold. Um, I can go to him and talk to him about anything, man. Alex Red, him, Pope. Those are guys that keep me on track, remind me, hey, this is why you're doing it. This is what you want. And then MOW, man. MOW was for 2020. That was the cherry of the ice cream for 4 years. Just about 4 years at that time working it to get opportunities to just do stuff with them.
Yeah. When you think about um, you've held a numerous amount of titles, tag team titles and singles titles as well. What to you, in the first time that you were given the responsibility, given the trust in having a title, what did that mean to you in terms of your journey from where you came from to the point where someone is entrusting you with a championship in their organization? Was that something that was, just that sweet taste of champagne, that like, hey, I made it, man.
I actually do remember the first title I held, tag titles under the Brothers in Arms banner. And
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I told my trainer I didn't want to win it because my trainer wasn't the booker. And I told him that I didn't feel like I earned it. Like for the longest time, I didn't call myself a professional wrestler. You know, I felt like that was a title to be earned. Where a lot of wrestlers start training first day, I'm a professional wrestler. Like to me, I'm like that is a title. I feel like that should be earned. And I
Yeah.
never really considered the title professional wrestler until maybe 3 years into it. when I
Yeah.
was able to start calling matches, and then I knew how to do stuff and think on the fly. And, I feel like it's such an honorary title to have, being professional wrestler. So the tag titles I did not want. I felt like I wasn't ready. I felt like I didn't earn it. But the fact that the promoter was entrusting me, and we beat Devon kids for the titles nonetheless.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
We beat, and then that was another thing. I'm like, we're going over on Terrence and Terrell here, like freaking. Then next thing you know, freaking, because a month before that, what made the promoter put the titles on us, and this was over at Atomic Wrestling, was the fact that Devon made an appearance and he cleaned house. He beat us up. He beat the Brothers in Arms up. He beat the Metro Brothers up. Then cut a promo on us about, you want to jump my sons, family stick together. So the promoter was like, man, we got something good there with Brothers in Arms. And I feel like the reason why he trusted us is because we were getting over so quick with the fans. So young into my career, we were just over because we were just heels. We were the heels that everybody was like, oh crap, like these guys don't care. And he entrusted us because we were so over, and he wanted to give us an opportunity. Alex Red was like, hey, let's give these young guys an opportunity. But man, it meant a lot to me, man. Because my mom is gone, so I felt like that was the moment she would have been proud of me, like to see me changing my life around, and a championship, and since then, now I've been called the belt collector. I'm just going around collecting belts.
It is pretty remarkable because, just looking at the list of titles that you have had.
And I have like long reigns like Arn Anderson, man. Like I'm the Arn Anderson, man. I'm like literally at Real Pro Wrestling. I've held the title for like 640 something days or something like that. Like I'm like Ric Flair in these reigns, man. I'm Arn Anderson in NWA, buddy. Yeah.
Well, and that speaks volumes too. When you think of it in the sense of, there are wrestlers out there who, and I think you made a very good point. You were using the word professional wrestler, pro wrestler. And I think that there is a big difference between some of the guys out there who never get an opportunity to have a title because they don't act professionally, and that's one of the biggest things, to hear you use that word is very telling, because that means that's how you work. That's how you see yourself. You are a professional doing this. You are not just a wrestler. Hey, look at me. I'm a wrestler. You're a professional. This is your job. This is your career. And you take care of that. And you take care of those that you work with. That is the most, positive thing that I think that anyone can take from, the idea of, you can go to class, you can train, but if you're going to be in the business, become a professional.
Exactly. And dress like a professional. Everywhere I go, you can ask anybody. I'm always dressed. Always dressed correctly. I'm not going to show up in gym shorts. I'm not going to show up in just regular clothes. I'm professionally dressed because at the end of the day, it's my job. I think I learned that from like Vertigo and Chico Adams, actually, where I always seen Chico Adams always nicely dressed every time he goes somewhere, or we're at a show together. And Pops from WXW is one of those guys, like, hey kids, make sure you show up professionally dressed. So that it's positive to have it. For me, it's a blessing to have people like Pops, Vertigo, Chico, Elijah, Alex Red, all these individuals, even the big names, because they're teaching me the right way. I go to other areas, man, and sometimes I'm just like, I'm shocked. I went to a show one day. I worked a show out of state, and the referee had a pair of pants on with a ref
Oh, no.
shirt, and it bothered me because it's something that Elijah taught me a long time ago. If you know better, don't do it. So I'm afraid to do anything if I know better. But if someone's like, "Ah, no one cares," they're not gonna realize it. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. It's just it ain't right. Like, and I told the dude, I'm like, "Hey, you don't got no pair of black slacks." He's like, "No, this is what I ref in." And I was like, I'm thinking he doesn't know any better, so I'm gonna let him know, like, hey, you need a pair of black black slacks with your ref shirt. You want to look professional, especially if you want a better job.
Wow.
And it bothered me, man. I never met something that bothered me so much, just seeing him in jeans. And I was like, man, this dude. Before I was a wrestler, I was a referee, and I knew better. I
Yeah.
refereed for 8 months.
Yeah.
They called me Jeff the ref. Freaking, I don't know if you know Jason Cade.
I've heard of him, but I've never met him.
Yeah, so Jason Cade, I had to do a show. I think it was Rise Wrestling or something like that, or
Okay.
Girl Fight Night. It was something, one of those like women promotions. I had a
Right.
referee for one of them, and freaking, they were like, "Who's the referee's name?" And Jason Cade's in the background. His name is Jeff the Ref, and they believed him. So that was the gimmick, Jeff the Ref. Freaking Cade. I love Cade. Cade is one of those funny wrestlers, man. I had to referee a match one day. You want to know what this guy did? It was a tag match. He jumps out of the barricade. He's not part of this match. Jumped off of the barricade, slides in the ring. It was a pause because we know he's not supposed to be in the ring. And he looks at everybody and throws his dukes up. And he's like, and it was like, you could tell, like, it was just like, what do we do? And then he's like, that's what I thought, and runs out of the ring, jumps over the barricade. I'm like,
That's a fucking great little. That's a great rib. Oh, that's
but that's Cade for you, man. Cade just
awesome.
He's a funny guy.
Uh, I like that you brought that up. Thinking of some of the guys that you've worked with, who else comes to mind in terms of either their professionalism, their the way they, you know, uh, are in the ring. Anyone you've had chemistry with? Are there any standouts for you along those lines?
I've worked so like I'm gonna have to say Simbodi. Sim that weird guy is probably the most professional guy you can ever meet, man. Like I
Absolutely.
I worked him in a tag match, Brothers in Arms. It was him and the Headbangers, one of the Headbangers. It was Thrasher.
Okay. Yeah.
And Brothers in Arms wrestled them. And even the Headbangers, they're one of the most professional guys I've ever met in the business. Always wanting to help. I've actually gotten along as of late with Big Connor
Okay.
in the Ascension. One of the sweetest, biggest guys I've ever met. I'm always talking to him, like text back and forth. And that's another guy that just wants to help. He's
Yeah.
just a guy that wants to help, man. It's just so weird. I met a lot of people. It's hard to really say something bad about them, man. I mean, the only weird encounter I ever had was Sandman. You know,
you're not
and
the you're not the first.
yeah, like, and he was such an ass. Like, he was an asshole to me. He was just drunk. He was like crapping on everybody, and he was like, "That match is the shit," you know. So he's like crapping on everybody, man. But another guy that's really professional, Sabu. I
Yes.
I love Sabu, man. Like, Sabu will talk to you and just tell you all these crazy stories. I don't know. Have you ever heard the story why he points up like this
Yeah. Yeah.
with the light?
Yeah.
Like, for so many years, I thought it was like something meaningful.
Right.
And it was so heartbreaking when he told me it was because the light was dangling. I was like, you just ruined the childhood right there, man. Like, I thought it was something meaningful, like,
Yep.
something. Oh, and Animal was another guy that was so professional with me. Uh, didn't know me and sat there and talked to me for 2 hours.
Yeah. That's, I'm glad you brought that up because he's one of the guys, Sabu's one of the guys. Um, Man, you're absolutely right in terms of they take the time to tell stories to, they're not there to get themselves over because they don't have to, you
They
know,
don't.
and they know that's the other thing too. I think, when I trained at UPW, John Heidenreich was in my training classes. He was just, early on starting out, and you can tell like a guy like Animal, when you're put in a situation where you have a guy like Heidenreich and you're going to make him essentially, you know, the replacement for Hawk after, Hawk had passed away. That's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectation and a lot of hate that is going to be thrown your way because fans don't want to see it. But a guy like Animal could nurture and help a guy like John to this point where they actually get the tag titles.
That's funny you mentioned that. I remember him telling me stories about Heidenreich. Some were good, a lot of them were bad.
Yeah, John,
he,
he's out there.
yeah,
He's out.
he wanted to help him out so much, and it just, you got to think everyone deals with their personal demons. Um, he
Yeah,
told me a story because he was trying to teach me about on the fly. He was like, things can happen in this business, kid. You just got to roll with the punches. So I think they were wrestling. I think it was Eminem. He told me.
okay,
I want to say Mexico, but it's Eminem, I think. Um, and he's like, hey, WWE told him, hey, you guys are retaining the SmackDown tag titles, whatnot. And he's like, okay. He said literally before they went out in the Gorilla, Vince McMahon was like, hey, other team over. And they already called everything. But he's like, their music is hitting, and I think Eminem or it was somebody. I can't remember what team it was. They were like giving him the thumbs up, like, "Hey, what's going on?" He pointed at them, gave them the thumbs up, pointed at himself down, you up, we're down, type deal. And the match was already called from top to
yeah,
bottom, but it was nothing he can do. They had to call it out in the ring now. Like they can do what they were planning on doing, but they had to change the finish in the
right,
ring. And he told me that's something that I should be mentally prepared for because it can happen anywhere. Is you never know when plans change.
right.
And he was
Yep.
just trying to teach me every aspect of the business, which he didn't have to. He even told me to record the conversation. Like I literally have old recordings right now on my computer of Animal teaching me about tag team in the car.
That that is, I'll tell you right now, you just brought up something that I don't think a lot of people even think about, which I think that more younger talent needs to try to do, and that is have those conversations somehow documented because you never know when someone is, going to pass. And now you have that valuable information. Anytime you need to go back and just hear those words again. And, that to me is one of the reasons I like doing like a podcast is because of the fact that at any point in your life, you can reach for this information from generations, different generations of, professional wrestlers. And it's something that, especially if you are in the business and you have that opportunity to have a drive, whip out that camera, record it. You don't have to share it in public because it's not meant for public. It's meant to help you grow. And I love that you have that. That's amazing, man.
I've never posted a video or anything. I've always kept it as a personal thing for me to know. And it's like 6, 7 videos I uploaded to my computer, so I always had it. And
Yep.
That generation, to learn from that generation, that's I call it a dying breed generation right there.
Yeah.
Very few still have that knowledge from back then. Very few do. Elijah's one of those guys that have that.
Yep.
Dusty Rhodes knowledge. He was trained by Dusty and Dean Malenko and Arn.
Yep.
That's a dying breed knowledge to have. That's why I like the fact that Cody is with Arn Anderson. Cody,
Yeah.
The business is in his blood, but he wants to have that reminder. You could tell Arn is there as a reminder, of that old school way for him. And
Yeah.
I like the fact that they brought old school workers at AEW because it's a young talent promotion. Why do you think Jericho is there?
Yep.
I mean, these are guys that have the knowledge from back then and they're paying it forward to the next generation. Why do you think Taz has his own team? Taz, he's passing on the knowledge to the younger generation. And a lot of people don't pay attention to that. Like, there's a reason why Jake the Snake is there or DDP's making there. It's to help the talent because they're the next wave. They're the next generation. They're going to be carrying the business for the next 20 years from now. And it's paying it forward. That's why I've been blessed to have guys that actually pay it forward to me. And then when it's time for me, I'm going to pay it forward right back. And that's how you keep the business going. It's a wheel. It just keeps going round and round, man. And the next wave and the next wave. I met a lot of guys that are willing to pay it forward, and I met a lot of guys that it's all about me. Like me. And it sucks, man. I always told myself I wouldn't be all about me. Like I wanna,
Yeah. Well, and that's as we kind of get ready to wrap up here. I think that's a very important, thing to recognize as well, and that is so many people are, very focused on just themselves, whether it's, having to get their moves in, I got to get this and I got to get that in.
All you got to do is tell a story.
Exactly. I was going to say something like that has to mean that you have to do it where it fits into a story. And I think that there are a lot of those people who are self-focused who the thing that makes me maddest about it is that a lot of those people, they don't even know how to call a match on the fly. So if you throw anything in their way that they're not used to and it disrupts their pattern, they look horrible because they can't do it. They don't know what they're doing.
I worked a guy a few months ago. It was a tag match, multi-man tag match, triangle tag or something like that. And the guy, all he cared about was getting his stuff in. His partner was the greenest guy in the match.
Oh, so man.
He was gonna have hard time just remembering stuff and just he needed help. But his partner was so worried about getting his stuff in that he basically left his other partner to the wolves with us. And long story short, the match was super bad. Super bad. we got to the back, and I just scolded him. I was like, listen, you're the veteran of your team. You should be the one to, take charge. If you see him falling, get him back where he needs to be. And I hate guys that want to get their stuff in. I just wrestled over at Jay Lethal's place,
Mhm.
Tampa Bay,
Yeah.
Saturday. And I wanted to do a few moves. I have a lot of cool moves, but I won't do them unless it makes sense.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, well, obviously I can't do this today. So who cares? Let's have a good match. Let's tell a story, man. It's not even about us. It's for the fans. It's not even for us. It's for them. They're paying
Yep.
their hard-earned money to see us. This is, to me, for fans, is an escape out of reality.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about my job. I don't want to think about what's going on at home. This is my reality. This is my escape.
Yep.
At the end of the day, we have to think about them. It's not about us.
Well, and that's the most, I think, the most relevant and the most obvious thing is that, especially because everyone who has wrestled in front of no fans during COVID, I think that now you understand why the fans are important. It's
I've done a few of those no fan shows. It's very rare. It's rare. I think I did it like twice, 3 times, maybe something like that. So awkward.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
like when I'm yelling and I don't know who I'm yelling at. I'm just yelling because I can.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because that's one of the things I think that if you're not a wrestler, you don't really understand it. And if you take the audience for granted, then you're not doing your job. You really, get to tell a story that you're getting instant feedback on what you're doing. Denzel shoots a movie, he ain't gonna hear anything until the critics and Rotten Tomatoes and stuff starts,
Yep.
putting out the critiques. But in wrestling and in stand-up comedy and in touring, like music, like bands, like those are the things that you get the audience interaction with, and hopefully you pick up on how you have to tell the story in front of a certain crowd. So it's crazy that people get into this business for themselves, for trying to make money, before being an actual performer, and that really just has always ticked me off, because to some extent you can see it at a higher level. If a Brock Lesnar, who is established, he's been around forever, he gets this and this, fans get pissed because they don't know the actual, honesty behind the reasoning of the contracts. There's a lot of stuff that works behind the scenes that fans don't realize. So you get mad because this guy doesn't show up all the time. Oh, he disrespects the business. He doesn't like the business. And yet he's doing business. So
yeah, Brock Lesnar is a businessman at the end of the day. Like,
yeah.
Results don't lie.
Yeah.
Results don't lie. Brock Lesnar, here's the thing, man. Brock Lesnar at the end of the day is making a lot of money. The man has played football. The man has been on UFC. The man is a former WWE champion in his early years. I mean, he paid his dues. He paid his dues, and now he can come in comfortably. It's like The Rock. Rock comes in, he paid his dues, and he can come in whenever he wants. We're gonna crap on The Rock too now.
Yeah.
Like, same thing with John Cena. We're gonna crap on John Cena. He's a part-time guy. I mean, I think the thing that people don't like is the fact that Brock Lesnar can hold the title and not defend it. But here's the thing: Brock Lesnar can do what he wants if higher up is letting him. So why are we complaining if higher up ain't complaining? Like at the end of the day, Brock Lesnar draws money and he brings in views.
Yep.
And you can't hate a man for that.
No, because that's ultimately, listen, if you're in a band, your goal isn't to continue to play little, VFW halls, in some small town. Your goal is to play arenas. It's like, this is the reality. It is that you balance your love and your passion with actually making the money that you need to keep your family fed and to hopefully keep you happy with what you're doing in your career. So um really quick, we're going to wrap up here. Fans who maybe don't know you, I hope get a little experience getting to know you. I want them to check out some of your matches, but I also want them to follow you on social media. What are your handles so that people can look you up, brother?
I'm very easy to find. Just Jason Dugan on Facebook, and the same thing on Instagram. Very easy. I pull up I guess because of the name, it's so different. Jason Dugan.
Right.
Not a lot of Jason Dugans. So yeah, if you type in Jason Dugan, Dugan, I'll pop up right away. Same thing with Twitter and everything else. Like I pop up. Um, just very easy to find, man. And I'm always a message away.
Well, I'm glad that we got a chance to, talk for, the past hour here. And what I love about what you're doing is that you have the right mentality, the right focus to accomplish what a lot of people, never get the chance to accomplish. And that is to live that dream of being a pro wrestler and knowing that, hey, man, this is the early part of your journey, man. You still got a nice amount of years left to work in the ring. And with your mind and your knowledge, you're going to end up being one of those mentors in 10, 15 years, man. And I think that it's going to be something
I hope
that,
so.
yeah, because I think that, your story inspires. And I think that when you look at the scope of, people out there in this business, there are a certain amount of people who you look at who really have, like DDP, Mark Marrow, guys who have just this great story, and they make you feel positive, like you can actually achieve something in your life. And I think that that's what I see in you, man. You inspire people to be better. And I think that you're just scratching the surface. And I can't wait to see, 10 years from now. I'm really excited to read the book in 15 years.
It might be a book, man. I actually
There,
have been brought that to my attention that it needs to be a book. Your life is rough. Let's get a book.
yeah. I mean, you mentioned Sabu, man. And that's a perfect example. Read Sabu's book, and it's just so telling. It's a fascinating story. And I think that, these are things that we sometimes get lost as wrestling fans, or, especially the cynical people. You forget that, hey, man, behind every person, there's a story. And you've got a great story. You've got a great head on your shoulders, brother. And, anytime, you can use our platform, let me know. And I hope fans, if you're listening, please check out Jason's work. And hopefully you don't have a pro wrestling tees store yet, do you?
No, not yet. It's been brought to my attention that I need to. I've actually have enough, fan base to actually have it. But I guess I've never really, it's not that I'm against it. I really never did it for the money,
Right.
So I've never really thought money, and I made pretty good money working indie, surprisingly. I make pretty good money doing it, but I never really did like the cared for the money part of it, like, because my reasonings for wrestling were completely different.
Right.
So like people do 8x10s and stuff like that, where I'm like, it's all right.
Well, that's one thing, in the future. Let's put it this way: if you don't have a pro wrestling tees store, then fans, when Jason is with NXT or AEW, buy his merch then.
Yeah, buy my merch then. Yeah. I mean, I do have merch. It's funny, but I wear my merch to the ring.
Yeah. I could, it's, yeah, man. It's interesting because some people are, so focused on that aspect of things, and I get it. But, like you said, man, you're not in it for the money. You're in it because you love it. And it's one of the strongest things I think anyone can say. So until next time, everyone listening, thank you for tuning in. And man, we will see you guys